Most people spend a better chunk of their lifetime looking for the one. But what happens when you find someone? How do you know that this person is compatible with you or this person is the right one to start a relationship with? You see, compatibility does not always guarantee longevity, but it is directly connected to the quality and the happiness in your relationship. Today, here on the show, we shall dive even deeper to try and understand what compatibility is, how we know if we are compatible with someone, and the telltales of compatibility. I will be your host, Kate Riro, and in studio, I am joined by two lovely guests. So before we go and meet them, remember to subscribe, to share, and to like. Welcome back, people. And as I had told you, we have very amazing guests in the studio. We have Peter, he's a life coach, and we have Judy, she's an entrepreneur, and she's also a professional therapist. I will allow them to introduce themselves before we start.
Okay, do we let the lady go?
Ladies first, yeah?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? My name is Judy. I'm professional counseling psychologist and I'm also an entrepreneur. You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Peter Mudia. I am a life coach. I'm a trainer, and I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I'm so happy that you could avail yourselves for the show today. And we have whole package in store for these people. They don't have an idea. So we are talking about compatibility. And I am really looking forward to this conversation because as we were talking behind the scenes, like we had such an amazing time and there is so much that we can learn from compatibility, from how we can know that the right how we can know a right partner, from deal breakers, from trauma bonding and wound partners. There is so much that we can learn. So I will give it to Judy. She's a doctor, so she will tell us the psychology behind compatibility. Welcome, Judy.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. I'd like to talk about compatibility. Compatibility is the way you get to attach to one another and knowing each other's values and morals. Yeah. And it's getting to know what kind of a person you're with. Are you able to, do life with? Or are you able to, navigate things, normal things that we do in this life? Yeah.
Wow. So, Peter, I know you're married. So, if you can tell us from a man's point of view,
Yeah.
how do men view compatibility? What things do men look at when they're looking for a woman?
That's a serious question. Let me speak for the men that my kind of men. So I don't know if all men look at the same things, but I believe men are natural visionaries. One thing about men is that they are always drawing the bigger picture. So I think one of the biggest points of compatibility for a man is a woman that supports a vision. Like when they are considering a life partner, you want someone who will buy into what you see, into the big picture that you're drawing. I know that is so big. Another thing that works well is when you share values, you share the way of life. As we were talking earlier, imagine I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I like going out. I like adventure. I want a lady who shares those kinds of things. Otherwise, I'll find myself, I'm always going out and she's always at home. I end up making friends out there. That's not the point. You want to grow with your person. So if you want partner that would be fun, then you want someone who shares those kinds of things, like you have fun together. Yeah, so I think in terms of compatibility, when we are thinking like from a men's point of view, we look at the vision, someone who supports the vision long term. We look at someone who shares our values. We look at someone who shares our kind of lifestyle. Yeah.
And we will come back to you because we want to know more about values and who sets the pace and the values for the relationship. So what I'm hearing is that it varies from person to person. It varies from man to man, but there are those general compatibility factors. So if Judy can tell us, like, what are the examples, like, what do we look for when we are talking about compatibility? What do we look for? Is it spiritual compatibility? What exactly do we look for?
I think when you're meeting a person, you have to know who are they as a person, what do they love doing, what is their background. I mean, where do they come from? Who are their people? Their families. How are their values, their morals? These are the things also we look at. We also look at their common interest in life. Like what are their hobbies? Their work, their profession. Is their profession going to interfere also with your being compatible with one another? And also, we also look at is it somebody who would want to improve themselves in life? Like would they want you to go forward, or would they want you to step you down? Like you will not move anywhere. Yeah. So those are the things also we look at. Also we look at will they change you as a person? Will they change you in long term? Are they going to make you're not Judy anymore? And another thing is, are you attractive to one another? What are your love languages? How do you attract one another? And also another thing is the intellectual capability, the physical, how are they? Yeah, because the eyes lie on the person, however they look at love is blind, right? And also emotionally, how do they treat you as a person? Are they sensitive to your feelings? How do they take you as a person? Yeah.
So is it possible for someone to know if a partner will potentially change them in future?
It's very hard to determine because you don't know this person. Now you're trying to know them, right? Now you're trying to know who is this person. So in future also, as you progress, you'll get to know what the person is like. Who is this person in your life? Who have you entertained in your life? Are they there for you or not?
Yeah. And Peter,
Mm.
I think I'll pose the same question to you as Judy. Like, what are some of the compatibility factors that you look for as a person in maybe other people?
As me now, I think just picking up from where Judy was, she started talking about like the background checks, and I remembered something that maybe we should mention. People are always being formed at any one point of your life, whether you like it or not. You're being formed. You're becoming something. And the factors that contribute to formation, number one is environment. Number two is the stories you hear, the stories you tell yourself. Number three is the relationships you keep. That is why Judy was saying, when you're looking at someone, you look at what is her family, where is she coming from, what is the background, what is the environment they grew up in. Those things will tell you what kind of person that is. Now coming to what do I look for example, me as Peter. Number one, as I said, as a man, there is a vision I've cast for my life. I am a life coach. I am a person who deals with people. So the first, one of the most, one of the compatibilities, or one of the things I consider as compatible in my life partner is someone who also loves people. You get? Because I can't be here serving people, welcoming people into my life, and the person that is supposed to be my main cheerleader is not a people person. And I'm not saying people that are not naturally people persons are bad. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they are not the people for me.
For you.
You know, a lady who does not naturally love people, they are good in their own way. They are good for someone. They are probably good for a software engineer. Someone who works behind a computer doesn't. So when he comes home, he wants all the attention and he wants someone who does not welcome people. You get? And I'm not saying, okay, sina beef na software engineers. It's an example I'm giving. But me, I'm out there. I am a trainer. I'm always talking to people. To some extent, at times, I'm always welcoming people into my house. So it is important that the person I get be someone who will be okay with that. Otherwise, I'll end up being happy and she's not. And that is how conflicts begin. As I said, another thing, my personality. What do I like? I am adventurous. I'm a bit introverted, but I'm very adventurous. So I'll just give you an example. The person I'm with right now, we sit like this in the house and we think about ni wapi hatujui Machakos. Unaona, twende. And we've done that many times. Tunaenda tunaingia kwa matatu. Tunasema mnaenda wapi mwisho? We go to whatever destination. Tunashuka, tunazunguka kwa hiyo town, we take coffee, go back home laughing. Now imagine I'm like that, then I get a person who wants to be home. They want to take care of the house, and that's a good thing again. So we're talking about compatibility. I'm saying that's not the person for me. Wacha nyumba ikae hivyo, tutaitengeneza pamoja. But let's go out and have some fun. So yeah, that's what we are talking about. Someone who we share likes, we share hobbies. I think Judy also mentioned, like, even the background spiritually, because at times one of the things everyone says when they're looking for a partner, they start with God fearing. Yeah, we all fear God. I'm telling you. Even Muslims, they fear Allah. They respect Him. Even Christians, we may all be serving Jesus, but do we believe in the same way? You get? Because denominations, doctrine, the way we approach the scriptures, also informs how we live. And it can be determine. Yeah, it does determine. And it can be very conflicting because you have maybe you have a Catholic and a Protestant. You know, the way they believe is different. In the event that you begin a family, what will you teach the children? Mtakuwa mkienda church wapi? Ama ni sasa you're married, you're Protestant, you're born again. Then because you got married to a Catholic, he tells you now you can no longer go to that church, let's go to this one. Umezoea kuimba na kelele na kuinua mikono pale kitaratibu. You see the things that small things that begin small fires. You see the fires in LA that are happening right now, they didn't start in that size. Small fires. Yeah, so those compatibilities, small things, spiritual, likes, hobbies. But for men, the one big one that I know is vision. Does this person because I believe there is no separating a man and his vision. Men, daktari yako hapa atanikosoa. But I've been told men identify themselves with work, with what they do. Women identify themselves with relationships. So first thing, when men meet, first thing, hey dude, good to see you. Hey, meet my friend Jim. First thing they ask you, so what do you do? Yeah. Ladies will be happy to introduce themselves as, my name is Fulani, I'm married or I'm single. Yeah, women are more relational. Men are kazi. And I think it's the way God made us. So one of the biggest factors I think for a man is, will this girl support the empire that I'm building. Yeah.
And now, Judy, that Peter has brought up about about men and work and
Yeah.
ladies with relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think then there is that one major general thing that women look for when they are looking for a compatible partner.
Yeah.
Speaking not from a doctor's point of view,
Yeah.
but from a woman's point of view,
Yeah.
what is that
Yes, help
general?
us.
I think Peter has mentioned women are really relational.
Yeah.
So, for a woman to identify a man, the man has to be emotionally supportive.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No man. No.
Yeah. So they have to be really emotionally supportive. If they're emotionally supportive, the woman can be able to grow. But if a man is sidelining the woman, then it becomes hard for the woman also to grow. Yes. Because that's the key thing of a woman.
Emotions.
Emotional support.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So speaking of emotions, now Peter amekuja amepatana na Judy. Peter is married. This is just an example. Amekuja amepatana na Judy, and then you guys are clicking. So how do you differentiate between chemistry, connection, and compatibility?
Okay, you look at it like those are three things, right? Divided into three. So when I meet Peter, does he support me emotionally? The way I speak, the way I trickle my emotions, that will he support me? Yeah, will he support me in whatever I do in my life? Even as we go forward, I get kids. Because that's a burden for the two of you. Emotionally, you also break down. Is he ready to support me in my endeavors? That is what we see. Like, how am I going to be compatible with Peter if he's ready to, is he ready to be there for me in all the things that I do in my life? Yeah. So support. Support is the key.
That will tell the compatibility.
Yes.
Now, how do you, like, let's say you have clicked, how do you tell if
the chemistry has
it's
agreed?
the chemistry, you know, like
Chemistry has agreed.
I believe
The
like
chemistry can lie, yeah?
chemistry can lie because people when you study
Yeah.
how to manipulate people,
Yeah.
people who have learned like arts of seduction,
Yes.
they can trigger chemistry.
Yeah.
So when do you differentiate between chemistry from a compatible, a genuinely compatible partner and a triggered chemistry maybe from maybe patterns, you know, kuna watu, they repeat patterns, and you find that they are able to connect instantly with familiar emotions.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate now between chemistry and like genuine chemistry and chemistry that is triggered by
emotions or by, you know, I think by you seeing, like by you knowing them, you will have, you see, a relationship, it's about attraction. When you meet somebody, you're attracted to them. The first instance, you're in honeymoon stage. They will like you know, hide. You don't, as a person, you will not see the dark side. You'll only see the light side. But as you proceed on, you'll start seeing their flaws. Right? Then when you see their flaws, from their flaws, you'll determine, am I able to deal with these things that this person is, you know, talking about or expressing or doing them in action? You will be able to know, are you attracted to this person or not? Yeah.
I feel like I agree, and honestly, it just takes time. I think I would say it takes time.
Yeah.
Because chemistry, as we said, chemistry can lie.
Yeah.
And when you see someone, I mean, okay, let me speak for the men. Okay, men are visual.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, wale watu unakwanga umeona umetamani. Men are visual.
even you, ukiwa married.
Oh, hey.
I think
Let
all
me
men
speak
are.
for the men. Let me speak for the men, please.
For the men.
My dear sisters, just because he turns his head does not mean anything.
Yeah.
Men are visual.
Yeah.
So you could be having, you know, beautiful lady next to you, but you see another one and you realize, hey, even that. Okay, so that chemistry can lie. It can even go further. Imagine colleagues. You go to a workplace, there's this person that you spend your whole day with. And so you become tight. You are always interacting. You can even have some chemistry growing there. But I think when you decide you're moving into a relationship, like you're going a notch higher, I think that's the place for sobriety. I'd call it sobriety. Really think about it. Who are you as a person? I think this brings us to, are people self-aware? Are you self-aware? I think that the more you know yourself, the more you know your boundaries, the more you know this I can take, this I cannot take. The more you are able to look at a person and see if they are faking when you know yourself. Because I think when you know yourself, you're able to say, this is what I can take, these are my boundaries, this is what I can accept, this I cannot accept. And with time, I think people will show their real colors. People will show their real colors with time.
And Peter, have you ever been in a relationship maybe you tried to advance that relationship to the next level, and you realized you just can't because there was attraction, but it was not enough for you to move on to the next step with the person? Have you ever been?
Oh yeah, I think many times.
I want you to paint to us that, like, how it felt. Because I think that is now chemistry. Like the thing that holds you together, but it is not enough for you to live with this person or to advance the relationship to the next level.
Even though it's a long time ago. But have you ever heard people say, like, hey, there's this girl I met, or there's this guy I met. Man, it looked so good. But as we were talking, I realized this is not the one. I think that's exactly what we are talking about here, compatibility. You meet someone, they tick all your physical boxes. The chemistry there, you're attracted to them. You go for coffee. Probably the first one is fun. But now as you begin to get into the serious matters of life, you realize we don't see things the same way. And it's so important that people see things the same way. For example, let me use again myself. I am big on impact, and then every other thing follows. There are very many ladies in our generation who are big on money, and then everything else follows. And I'm not saying ladies, even men. There are men who are like that. But now I'm a man. I am big on impact. Money is secondary. In fact, I don't know if it's secondary, it's tertiary. It's far. It's one of the things I consider last when I'm making decisions, for example, on what job to take. Even right now, as a trainer, as a coach, when I get opportunities, the first thing I look at is possibility for impact. How impactful will this assignment be? Before I look at how much are they paying. If you meet a person who in your second, third date, they are asking you, you just know you're in trouble. You just know.
Very true.
Huyu mawazo yake ni tofauti. So I think I have been in those situations before, where you meet a person, you start talking, but in the second, third date, you realize even the way they believe. Even, let me give an example. When I was, now this is much younger, in college, I was born again. Even now I'm born again. Then I was more, even, I'd call it religious. Like I was very staunch. So, and I had this girlfriend. Okay, this is too much information. Okay. I had this girlfriend that I had been with for almost a year. And we had agreed, like, me and you, we are going all the way. No touching. So. Then something happened, relationship went down. Then I met this other girl. I think day 3, Day 3, she had said, you come receive.
What was the difference between that lady and this lady?
one? Yeah.
Values,
Mm.
her approach to life. The one we were with before,
Mm.
like me and her saw things the same way, and we considered the issue of sex as a no-go zone for us at that time. This other one was more experienced in sex, and she saw sex as transactional. You know, like, si tuko kwa hii relationship, kaende.
Yeah.
So that was not me.
Yeah.
So in fact, now me, in my naivety, in my youngness, in my religiousness, the moment I saw like how fast it was to get her to that position, I thought it was a trap. First thing that came to my mind is that, huyu kuna kitu anataka kunifanyia, like anataka kunifunga or something. Yeah.
And I've seen that men always run away from women who are experienced. Because they tag them a certain way because of their experience. So to bring to that, I think we should also talk about sexual compatibility and also emotional compatibility. So when people say sexual compatibility, because hiyo inakwanga game sana sana maybe ya men. Like what do they mean when they talk about sexual compatibility? You'll tell us about sexual compatibility. Judy, you'll tell us about emotional compatibility.
Okay.
Because we want to address now the trauma bonding and wounds.
Yes.
Yeah, the way people meet and you fall for that person because they are familiar because of certain wounds. You'll tell us about that. But Peter, tell us about sexual compatibility.
I don't know. I'm not an expert in that, but I'll tell you what I think or what I believe to be true. I believe it again goes down to values. There are there are boundaries that people have put for themselves. There's the way people view sex. Personally, I view sex as for pleasure and for recreation.
Adventure.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's a better term, adventure. So I'm willing to do more things. I'm willing to try more position, from the chandelier in the kitchen. I remember first time we moved into a bigger house. We promised ourselves to use every room. Sasa, if your partner is more conservative, let's use that term.
Yes.
They believe hii kitu ni ya Mungu, ya kuzaa watoto.
Na unafaa kuombea.
Unafaa uombee. Imagine umekuja na moto, umewekelea mtu kwa ukuta hivi, anakuambia tuombe kwanza. You get? Inashukisha steam. So I believe again sexual compatibility goes to the values and the worldview. How do I view
morals also?
and how do I view life? How do I view life? How do I
relate
view
with
sex? How do I relate with sex? Because if we do it differently, if one is conservative, one is the adventurous type, they won't be compatible.
And some also attach it with shame, guilt, depending on
true.
You know, experiences.
Your past experiences.
That goes to the psychological bit now.
And most people actually relate sex with guilt, shame, and low self-esteem, low self-worth, and others even pain. So maybe from a psychological point of view, what can trigger these nuances or like that aspect?
Mostly also it depends on childhood experiences. How did you relate with your peers? How did you relate with your siblings and all these things?
How are you introduced to sex?
Yeah, how are you introduced to sex? True, Peter. How are you introduced to sex? Because even the small kids nowadays, even at age 4, they know all about it. They will explain to you and tell you more about it. So it's the whole experience of how they started doing these things. Don't forget our caregivers.
Yes.
They can be very part of it. So when you're a grown up, your childhood trauma comes. Yeah. And when it's time for you to be compatible sexually, you remember how were you treated then by that caregiver, or how did you go outside and you were treated by other children? Because right now, nowadays, in this world, it's full of so many things. Yeah, so those traumas can also affect you.
Yeah, especially like when you were growing up, we were not supposed to even mingle with boys.
Yeah.
So there's that stigma.
Yeah, there's that stigma also. Yeah, I remember, I can say one of my stories is that there's a time I was in class 8. Like, I was attracted to a boy. We were together. We were just playing boyfriend, girlfriend. I felt like he was so good to me. But there's a time my mom saw me with him and I was like, what are you doing with this boy, you know? So that one gave me so much trauma, like, am I not supposed to have boyfriends?
Yeah.
Because he was a boy and he's my friend, and there's nothing we've done together, it was just an attraction. But it scared me. I was like, usirudi kuona huyu kijana tena. I don't like it. But you see, our parents didn't explain to us the reason why. And those days, they never used to tell us about sexuality. Yeah, so I got traumatized. So from then on, I stopped seeing boys. Yeah.
So and now not you, another person. So when they are all grown up, they relate sex with shame.
With
They are
shame.
reserved.
Yes, they become reserved. Like the way Peter said, you're taking the girl to somewhere in a room and they're very conservative. They don't want you. They cannot even do it in the light on.
Yeah.
You see? So it really depends on our childhood, how we grew up, how were we talked to about sexuality. Yeah, because it really impacts us as we grow up. Yeah.
So speaking of shame and guilt, there are other emotional factors that contribute to like how we relate with our partner, or the factors that we look for when we are looking for a partner. So apart from shame and guilt, what other emotional compatibility factors are we looking at?
I've not seen, like we've discussed, morals, our morals, values. How have we been brought up in this family? Was our family abusive? Was it loving? Was it a loving family? Was it a single family? You see? How did our parents treat us as we are growing up? So all those contribute to our morals and our values and how we grew up knowing how we should be compatible to one another, because that really affects us even in our childhood, how we grew up. These are the things we bring them up even when we are adults, and that is when now you start saying gaps, identifying on gaps.
Okay, so I have a question. Why do you find someone loving the wrong person every time? Mtu anasema, hey, this is a psycho. I always meet bad boys. I always meet men who mistreat me. I always meet men who do not value me. What is that thing? Because I've had friends wenye wananiuliza, ama ni sisi tuko na shida, ama ni sisi tuna attract those kind of people. What happens that you always find a certain kind of person?
Okay. I'd say is the things that relates on childhood issues. The things you saw, the trauma bond that was created upon you. Your father, how was he treating your mother? Yeah? Did your mom, was she a single woman? What did she do to you? Or was there a mentor? Was there a mentor? Because when you have children and you're a single mother or a single father, was there a mentor who was a lady to teach you how to deal with people? Yeah? Or a father, did he have a mentor, a female mentor, to show her girl child how do you deal with men? You know? So all those things contribute to how we are compatible to one another. Yeah. So when you see somebody going through all these traumas, you see somebody attracting the same men as her father did, it means that they have themselves have not healed from the trauma. That is why they're attracting the same person. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
there is a theory that I was reading, they were saying that we do not love those people who care about us in the ideal way.
Yeah.
We love the people who are familiar.
Familiarity.
To us.
You're correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Familiarity also brings all those traumas because that is what your that's your
That's what you
comfort
know.
zone. That is what you know. Yeah, you don't know any different.
Mm.
And that is why it now you become attractive to this person. Yeah. And now when you see somebody, I have seen so many women, even I've talked to them and they're like, I don't know why this man treats me. But if you search their background, you will see there's a similar pattern to what their father did to their mother, or what the mother did to their father. It can be two-way. It's not only fathers or mothers. It can be two-way. So the people we attract to, are we are familiar with.
Wow.
Yeah, we
That's
are
a big one.
familiar with. Yes.
I'm also seeing as a self-awareness issue.
Yes.
Like, and I think that is why it is encouraged before you get into a serious relationship. It is better to be a little bit advanced in age. Because I think as you grow and as you expose yourself, you get to know yourself a bit more better, and you're able to make conscious, sober decisions that are not based entirely on chemistry or on comforts. But when you know yourself, like, again, let me speak for the men. When you
Hey, you're doing men justice.
yes, I'm a man. I think the more you grow, the clearer your vision becomes. When you're young, when we were in class 8, our class teacher that I loved, one of my favorite people in the world, she was called Mrs. Nana. She came and read for us Think Big by Ben Carson. And by the time I was finishing class 8, I was sure I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Only to get to high school and I hate biology. You see, then I went after high school, did accounts. Only to go a little further and I realized, I'm missing to numbers. You see life. So the more you advance in years, the more you become self-aware. And by the time I'm a bit older, my vision is getting clearer and clearer. And so I am able to even draw the boundaries within which I operate. Those boundaries are the ones that determine this is the kind of girl for me. This is the kind of friend I want to keep. Yeah, so I feel like at times people keep attracting the wrong people when they are not as self-aware as they should be. Before we get into relationships, there is always this thing, like we've been told, like someone comes to complete you. No one should be completing you. You should be a whole person. You should be a whole person meeting another whole person.
Yes.
You get? So if you are there looking for your better half, that's the word I was looking for. Looking for your better half. It's not supposed to be that way. Why are you incomplete? So until you're incomplete, my advice to a younger me would be, until you're complete, until you feel like you're a bit more self-aware, please don't get into a relationship as serious as marriage. Yes.
So let me ask in layman's language.
Yeah.
When you tell people to be self-aware,
Yes.
what does it mean to be self-aware?
I think that's a very good question. Self-awareness. Let's unpack self-awareness. Let's start with man is a triune being. Man is a spirit that has a soul that lives in a body. Being self-aware is number one, knowing that, now this is for those who, I am a Christian. So number one is knowing that I am from God, and I'm here for an assignment from Him.
Mm.
Number two, I think where most issues are is at the soul level. So self-awareness here, I'm talking about what now Judy was saying. I think take time to know, as I said, you're always being formed. There are things that happened in your life earlier. There is the environment you grew in. There are the relationships you've kept. There are stories that you have believed. Is that the truth? And for Christians, the truth is what the Bible says about you. I cannot speak to non-Christians. I don't know what they base it on. But for Christians, what does the Bible say about you? Because now that is you. When we are talking about identity, there are three main lies that we talk to people about. There's what we call the performance lie. And this is the lie that I am only as good as how well I perform, as the achievements that I make. You get? So that if you fail in school, if you fail in business, if you don't seem to be making it in life, you think you're worthless. That's not the truth.
You create an identity based on that.
Exactly. There is also the lie of control. This one eats men up. The lie of control. Men, because of the natural inclination of being leaders, always want to be in charge. And when life is not working, men go, like they lose value, they lose their worth. If you have not gotten a job, if you cannot provide for your woman, if you cannot take your girl where other men are taking their girls, you think you're not valuable. Then there is a lie, the people-pleasing lie, that is eating our generation. The lie of likes. Yeah. You post your nice photo there, and you come back an hour later, 3 likes, and you're like, oh my God, people don't love me, I'm not good enough.
Tunaweza confirmation bias.
Yeah. Like those are the 3 identity lies that are clear, that are usually very clear, that are dealt with one truth, that your value in Christ, your value in God is determined, is already determined. How do you know the value of something? You know the value of something by the amount you use to purchase that thing. How do you know the value of a human soul? That God gave Himself. He looked around and there was nothing valuable enough to purchase a human soul other than Himself. So if you can see yourself that way, that God had to give Himself for me to be bought, I am that valuable, that's already a very good level of self-awareness. And that will put you in a position where you will look at someone, because as you said, some of these things, you are attracted to a guy, and they are a bad guy, you will see those red flags. But it is because your self-value is low that you will allow yourself to get into that position. But when you have elevated your self-value, not to pride, to what it's supposed to be. You know, I am a child of God, I'm here on assignment, I have a value. Then you will not allow the wrong relationships into your life. So that's what I see as self-awareness. Again, like you don't attach your value to how you look. Looks. People have really reduced again. Man is a triune being. In fact, you are not intent. That's why when someone dies, you say, mwili wake uko, leave funeral home. Because that was not them. That was their body. You see, man is the spirit. Yeah. So when you, that's what I believe that's where you begin awareness. This is an opportunity for me to preach. You cannot really know your true worth. You cannot really be truly self-aware if you do not know God. Yeah.
Wow. And I love that because, like, when you unasema like man is a triune
being, yes.
being, when you deal with self-awareness,
yes,
that's also when you deal with emotions.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
soul.
All the issues
All the
are
issues.
on the soul level.
All the issues. And
Yeah.
self-awareness is actually knowing about yourself.
Yeah.
Who are you as a person?
Mm.
What do you want to be as a person? Where are you placed as a person?
Yeah.
What is your
What
purpose?
is your value?
You know, what is your value? You know,
What
Yeah.
are your weaknesses?
and what are your
Yes.
weaknesses? What are your
And
Can you accept yourself?
Can you accept it? Are you enough?
God has
No?
accepted you.
Yeah.
Why would you not accept
Are
yourself?
you enough as a person? Yeah. Despite the positives and the negatives that you have within yourself. Because man is not perfect. We are all trying to rebuild ourselves and become new people as we grow. Yeah.
So whatever you want from a partner, whatever qualities you're looking for when you say, oh, I'm looking for a partner, you should first of all become whole.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Deal with
Enough.
your
Yeah.
traumas,
Yeah.
deal with your
Insecurities.
yeah,
Yeah.
insecurities,
Your iniquities.
you know.
Yeah.
I actually want to throw, they say, I want to throw a spanner in the works. When you're looking for a partner, I believe the correct attitude should be, what am I bringing? What am I giving them? Yeah, not what am I receiving from them. When, for example, as a man, when I'm looking at a lady, first thing, I know my vision.
Yes.
Okay? So, of course, there's the issue of compatibility, that this person will be able to flow with my vision. But then what value can I add into that life? That should be my main thing. Because I think expectation is what sets us up for disappointment. If I come, I have seen Judy, I have liked her, and now there's all these things I'm expecting Judy to bring into my life. She's human. Simjui na siwezi change. God, only God and Judy can change Judy. So, as I come into a relationship with someone, I think the main thing should be, what am I bringing into their life?
Ask what are you bringing to the table, people?
Yes. Yes.
Tell them.
Yes. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing? What you that is asking. Because you have no control over that other person. I think this is something people need to know. Tumiaka twangu, tule nimeishi. I have lived for a few decades. I have learned that there is nothing you can do to change a human being. So when you come and you're asking someone what they are bringing to the table, just know already you have made that relationship transactional. And that is going to be the level at which you operate. Yes.
As long as you're transacting the needs.
Yes.
And if the need is not met, you're of no value.
Yes. Because now you have set an expectation, you have set a standard. Yeah. So what if indeed they bring? What are you bringing to the table? I'm bringing my cuteness. I'm bringing a little money. So that's all. So I'll give you. My. Okay, now he's not cute. I'll give you my handsomeness, and then I'll give you a few money, and I'll also give you a few jabs here and there. Yeah. Because you set a standard. You are after the handsome, the money, but what am I bringing? When you come to the table and your question is to yourself, what am I bringing into this person's life? Yeah. Because you've seen them and you've seen that for where I'm going, you are self-aware. For where I'm going, this one is good. Sindio? So what value am I adding into their life? I read this when I was very young. It's one of my mantras in life. If you want to be happy in life, and I have tested it, give a little, expect a little, give a lot. You will be so happy. You will always be laughing. People will be wondering, unacheka nini? Yes. Expect a little, give a lot. Anytime you're giving, you make yourself bigger. You're the bigger person in that situation. Yeah. But every time you come into a space and your hand is like this to take, you're the smaller person. Yeah.
Wow.
And your conscious, your soul is aware, your subconscious. As much as you think you're smart and you're taking, your subconscious is aware that umepewa, you're the smaller one.
Okay.
Yes.
Wapewaji.
That's so profound.
Lakini si ile kupewa wanaume wapewe.
So is there such a thing then as a perfect match?
There's no perfect match, I must say. Everybody, just the way I told you before, nobody is perfect, only God is. So, are you able to compromise with one another? Your flaws, your differences, are you able to compromise? Are you ready to take in? Is it too much for you? Is it too little for you? Those are the questions you should ask yourself when you're entering a relationship. As much you're offering you value, are you ready to take these other small things that this person is not perfect? Yeah. Are you ready to take the positives and the negatives together and combine and be able to build this relationship to last? Yeah, that's what you should ask yourself. Yeah.
So I'm getting that a relationship is not about two perfect people, it's about people who are willing to compromise.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I agree. What is two perfect people? Who is perfect?
No.
The one who is perfect, tell them to write in their comment section there. And then we talk to their spouse. You will hear stories.
Yeah.
And
But it's not perfect person.
are there things that you're not supposed to compromise on?
Sure. Yeah. There are things that when you see them in the beginning, you see them as small loopholes. But at the end of the time, when you have this built-up relationship, then they blow up to be big stones. So are you able to cope up with that? You have already far gone ahead with this relationship, probably in marriage stage. Are you able to cope with that? That is where you see when couples come together and they see these big mountains, they cannot be able to stay with one another. So it's important to know that these things that you're seeing in the beginning of the relationship, they become bigger. So are you ready to cope up with them as you grow up in this relationship? Or are you ready to compromise? Yeah. So I must say, when you start a relationship and you feel in yourself that you cannot be able to cope up with these situations or these things that this person is doing, leave. Leave the relationship. Because it will not work out in the long run. Yeah. Or you'll live in so much difficulty, you'll never be happy. Yeah. Then what happens? Trauma bonding, when you start having children, it becomes a difficult cycle to
Trickle it down.
Yeah, it just trickles down, it becomes like that. That's why you hear this generation, another generation comes up with it, because it was never ever corrected by anyone. Yeah.
You're passing trauma from a generation
to another generation. So it's important to know, even as you begin this relationship, there are things you can cope with, there are things you cannot cope with. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a question on boundaries.
And boundaries.
It's asked like, are there things you should not compromise on? Yeah, definitely. For me, direct, if you cannot support my vision, I know it won't work. You know, I cannot. And that's why it goes back to self-awareness. It's so important that I know who I am. I know what I want from life. So then I can determine, Judy might be good, but she's not good for me. You get?
Yeah.
She's actually good for someone else, but she's not good for me. Because the path I'm taking, I don't think we can go together. Yeah. Same thing, the Bible says, two cannot work together unless they agree. Yeah. What is that agreeing? Is that your path and my path looks like
we're going the same direction.
Yeah. What is that disagreeing is that your path is not my path. Yeah. So there are things you cannot. Abuse is another thing that I believe nobody should agree to take. If it can be dealt with, hopefully, deal with it. But nobody should.
And abuse can take so many forms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Financial, there's financial abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's physical abuse, there's spiritual abuse. So abuse takes in so many forms, and by the time you realize you have gone so far in depth with the whole relationship thing. So it's important to identify these red flags. I call them
Yeah.
They might be pink.
When you're in love, they are pink.
They might be
Yellowish.
pinkish, yellow, green. You don't know.
Yeah.
But it's important to identify something when it's raw, in their raw form. Because when you identify something when it's raw, then you're able to determine, this is a red flag, this is, I can't deal with this. Even if, how much, Peter, you've explained about boundaries,
Yeah.
but I think if there are those pink, red, green flags,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
it's showing you it's this,
Yeah.
you can never put boundaries on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
For example, if somebody abuses you emotionally, are you able to create a boundary? Those form of abuse are very difficult to, even if you put boundaries, they're difficult to put boundaries on. So it's very important to identify the abuse early enough, because it trickles down to the end of your relationship. You'll not live a happy person in your life. You need to grow, you need to develop your life. Somebody needs to support you emotionally, So it is important to know them in the early stages of a relationship. Yeah, that is when you put a stop to them. Yeah, I know I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
I need to move forward. I'm a healthy person. Let me move forward to another relationship of which it can be able to benefit my life. Yeah.
Wow, there's so much that we wanted to talk about. There's so much that we have not covered because, like, we need to tell people how to create boundaries and how to communicate those boundaries. We need to talk about deal breakers. And deal breakers, just like compatibility, can vary from person to person. We have not talked about that. We also wanted to talk about
Oh my goodness.
about, because I can hear like venye tunasema, like the way to find out if you are truly compatible is that it takes time.
Yeah.
So when do you start seeing the true colors of this person? So what are those stages of relationship? Like we wanted to address that. But unfortunately, time is not on our side. So I think you guys, I'll say this in front of the camera, I will have you guys in the next episode, and this is what we shall talk about as we conclude on this topic. So maybe a final word from each person, and then we call it an episode. And as you're doing that, you can also tell us what you do, where we can find you, and the services that you offer. And if you have Facebook and platforms that you'd like us to follow you on, you can also tell us. And Peter, as we were saying earlier, people have told us the importance of therapy, because even Judy will tell us, in order to deal with the emotional baggages and to become better people, we should seek their services. So tell us why we need a life coach, and you can also tell us what you do.
Okay. We started the lady?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me to this show. I'm really grateful, and I'm ready to serve the people. And whoever wants my services, they can reach me on. Whoever wants my services, I have a place based in Ruiru, they can come. I offer family counseling that is also inclusive of marriage counseling and youth counseling. My number is 0707 11 6544. And my email is ktaju2000@gmail.com. Indeed, Kate, thank you for this show. I'll be available next time.
Awesome. So, also very happy to be here. Always happy to be here, Kate. As I said earlier, I am a life coach, and I've been given an opportunity to sell coaches. So, everybody does therapy. One of my best coaching has many definitions. One of my best is that coaching is about helping people change the stories they tell themselves about themselves so that they're able to go into their next level. Remember when I was talking about formation, I said everybody is constantly becoming something. And one of the things that forms us is the stories we tell ourselves. So that's what coaching does. So if you want to just step into your next level, you might be doing well and you feel like I've been stuck on this position for some time, please come see me. You'll find me at Caris the Coach on Instagram. That's where I am usually, and on X, but Instagram is more reliable. I also host a show, in a dialogue. I've been asleep for a while together with my partner, but the show will be coming back soon. And yeah, hopefully you are able to, yeah, you can find Inner Dialogue also on Instagram and on YouTube, and you'll be able to get more of our content there. Yes, okay. I'm also a leadership coach, and I work for an organization called Oaks and Crown Leadership, where we train leaders into what we call redemptive, missional kind of leadership. Just we train leaders that life is about service out there. Work is, the definition of work from the Bible is work, is service, is worship. So that's what we train. Yeah, so you're welcome to check Oaks and Crown pages as well. Wow. Thank you.
And we cannot wait to see your show, to see you back on YouTube again.
Yes.
So that is all the time that we had, guys. Thank you for joining us. And if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, make sure you do so that you can get a notification every time there is a new update. So we will see you next time. We shall continue from where we've stopped with the same guests. So have yourself a lovely day, evening, and bye.